Now we're going to have some examples about circle. Let's begin with the directions. Give the standard form of the equation of a circle satisfying the given conditions. Number 1. Given the center is at the origin and the radius is 3 units. We're going to find the center, the radius, and the equation of the circle in standard form. Let's begin. So we are asked to find the center, and it's already given, so it's very easy. We have center at the origin, that is 0, 0. So for the first question, our answer is center, or let's say point C, is at 0, 0. Remember that C here can be replaced by any letter of the alphabet, and we use capital letter in naming a point. For letter B, we are asked to find the radius. And the radius is also given, so the answer is 3 units. For letter C, we were asked to write the standard form of the equation of a circle. And since we are given a circle which centers at the origin, we write here x squared, h is 0, plus y squared, k is 0, equals r squared. And we know that r is 3, so that will be 3 squared. Okay, let's now proceed with example number 2. So the given conditions are center at -3, 6, and the radius is 6 units. Let's begin with letter A. We are asked to identify its center, and it's already given. So we write here -3, 6. For letter B, we are asked to find the radius, and we have here the given 6 units. Now for letter C, we are asked to write the standard form of the equation of the given circle with this condition, so we have to follow this form. Remember, the standard form of the equation of a circle is the quantity of x minus h squared plus the quantity of y minus k squared equals r squared. So what we'll do is just substitute. You have quantity of x minus -3, and that will make it x plus 3. X minus -3 is the same as the quantity of x plus 3 squared, plus y minus k is 6. So we write y minus 6, or the quantity of y minus 6 squared, equals, radius is 6 units. So we write here 6 squared. Okay, so for example number 3, we have the given conditions. We have the center at 4, 5, and it's tangent to y-axis. When we talk about tangent, that means to say it will intersect at exactly one point. We have the center at 4, 5. That would mean that the circle will intersect the y-axis at point 0, 5. So let's take note of point 0, 5. If we're going to graph this one, or if we're going to count from 4, 5 up to 0, 5, that would mean the distance is 4 units. 0 to 4. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units. So we already have the answer for question letter B, which is the radius. We have 4 units. And of course, we are already given the center, which is 4, 5. So we already have A, and we already have B. Okay, it'll be simple for us to answer the last question, which is the standard form of the equation of the given circle. So we have here the quantity of x minus h squared plus quantity of y minus k squared equals r squared. Then just substitute. We have the center at 4, 5, so that would be x minus 4, quantity of the x minus 4 squared plus the quantity of y minus 5 squared, and we identify the radius, that is 4 units, so we have 4 squared, that is 4 squared, which can also be simplified as 4 times 4, which is 16. So let's rewrite this one. Quantity of x minus 4 squared plus the quantity of y minus 5 squared equals 16. Okay, let's proceed with example number 4. The given condition is, it has a diameter with endpoints point A, 4, 4, and point B, -2, -4. In this kind of problem, we have to apply the midpoint formula. So we start with m is equal to x sub 1 plus x sub 2 over 2, and y sub 1 plus y sub 2 over 2. This is a formula in getting the midpoint. Why do we have to get the midpoint of the diameter? Remember, the diameter extends from one point on the circle to another point on the circle, passing through the center. So its midpoint will be our center. So let's solve. This is x sub 1, we have 4, plus x sub 2 is -2 divided by 2. Then, for y, we have 4 plus y sub 2 is -4 divided by 2. Okay, so 4 plus -2, they are unlike signs. We subtract. 4 minus 2 is 2 divided by 2. And then 4 plus -4, again unlike signs, we need to subtract. This is 0 divided by 2. 0 divided by 2 is 0. So we have 0. Simplify. 2 divided by 2 is 1 and 0. So the midpoint is 1 and 0, meaning the center of that circle is at 1, 0. This time, let's solve for the radius. Okay, we are already given the endpoints of the diameter, 4, 4, and -2, -4. And we already figured out the center, which is at 1, 0. This time, for us to find the radius, we need to use another formula, and that is called the distance formula. So remember that the distance formula is d equals the square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared, or the quantity of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared, plus the quantity of y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. We're taking the distance from one point to another. We may use these 2 points as a reference, or as our reference, and divide it by 2, since the length of the radius is half of the length of the diameter. Or we may also use our center and one of the endpoints of the diameter, since the radius is a line segment from a point on the circle to its center. So let's decide on that. Let's use the center and point A. You may try the other point so that you will be convinced that they will be arriving at the same answer. So x sub 2 is, let's say it's 4, and x sub 1 is 1. So it's going to be the quantity of 4 minus 1 squared. For y, we have here 4 minus 0. So it's equal to 4 minus 1, that is 3. We have 3 squared plus 4 minus 0 is 4. So we have 4 squared. And then simplify. 3 squared is 3 times 3, that is 9. So we have 9. And 4 squared is 4 times 4, that is 16. So plus 16. What is 9 plus 16? 25. So we have the square root of 25. And simplify, the square root of 25 is 5. Okay, so our radius is 5 units. We are done with the center at 1, 0, and the radius is 5 units. Now the last task for example number 4 is for us to write its equation in standard form. So we'll follow the same format as we did a while ago. That is the quantity of x minus h squared plus the quantity of y minus k squared equals r squared. So what we'll do is substitute. The center is at 1, 0. So we have x, or the quantity of x, h is 1, minus 1 squared plus k is 0. You don't need to write 0 in here, so you just write y squared. Then r is 5 units, or 5. So we write here 5 squared. The answer is the quantity of x minus 1 squared plus y squared equals 5 squared. Okay, for the last example, we have example number 5. Notice that the given condition is also an equation of the circle, but this is in general form. So we have 2x squared plus 2y squared minus 12x plus 4y minus 16 equals 0. Now, how do we find the center, the radius, and its standard form? What we'll do is rewrite this first into its standard form. Remember that the standard form is also called the center radius form of the equation of a circle. Okay, the first step is to group those terms with the same variable. So we have 2x squared. It'll be grouped with 12x. And then we have 2y squared. That will be grouped with 4y minus 16 equals 0. Now actually, this can be simplified before we proceed with all the procedures. So we may multiply this first by 1/2. Why 1/2? Because all of these coefficients are divisible by 2. And if we'll divide 2x squared and 2y squared by 2, we'll have 1x squared or just x squared and then y squared. So that will make the process very simple. So we have here x squared minus 6x plus y squared plus 2y minus 8. Okay, multiplying by 1/2 is simply dividing it by 2. Dividing everything except equals. We cannot divide the equal sign. Okay, so let us now continue with completing the square. Again, step 1 is to group those terms with the same variable. The next step would be completing the square. So plus blank plus y squared plus 2y plus blank equals 8. Where did I get 8? I applied addition property of equality, and that would be adding the additive inverse of the constant term negative 8 on both sides. So we have to add positive 8 or 8. So negative 8 or minus 8 plus 8 makes it 0. That's why we do not have negative 8 on this side anymore. And then on this side, we have to add 8 as well, so that the identity of the equation is retained. And that is why we have 8 in here. Those who are used to transposition, although we don't have such thing as transposition, well, that's actually just transposing 8 to the other side or negative 8 to the other side. But again, we don't have such thing as transposition, so we use addition property of equality. Okay, you may put parentheses on the groups so that you will not be confused which belongs to which. So we have 6 here. Look at the middle term of the first perfect square trinomial. This will become a perfect square trinomial later. That is 6. What you'll do is divide it by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, correct? So we have to square the answer. That means the quantity of 6 divided by 2 squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So the answer here is 9. Since again, this is an equation, if we add 9 here, we should add 9 on the other side as well. So for the second trinomial or perfect square trinomial, we just have to copy the same procedure. So we have y squared plus 2y. 2 is the coefficient of the middle term. That is 2 divided by 2 squared. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 squared is 1 times 1, so that is 1. So we write here 1. If we add 1 here, we should add 1 on the other side as well. So plus 1. Okay, so we already have the perfect square trinomials both for the group of x and the group of y. What we'll do now is to express this as the square of binomials. So remember that x squared minus 6x plus 9 can be expressed as the quantity of x minus 3 squared. How did we come up with the quantity of x minus 3 squared? Now, the shortcut would be get the square root of x squared, that is x, and then copy the sign of the middle term, that is minus, and then get the square root of the last term, and that is 3. So the quantity of x minus 3 squared plus the quantity of, use the same method, we have to get the square root of y squared, that is y, copy the sign of the middle term, that is plus, and then the square root of the last term, that is square root of 1 is 1. So we have 1 squared equals, add these numbers, we have 8 plus 9 plus 1, that is 18. So we have 18. And this is standard form of our equation. The quantity of x minus 3 squared plus the quantity of y minus 1 squared equals 18. Okay, so I hope you learned something from this video. Stay safe, God bless. See you on the next lesson. This has been my little something. 감사합니다.